Back to our top story, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell vowing to hold a vote on President Trump's shutdown proposal this week, despite the fact that Democrats have rejected it. But moderate Democrat Joe Manchin seems to be looking at the president's offer as a good sign. The senator tweeting, "I'm hopeful the president's statement tonight will allow us to immediately reopen the government, put West Virginians back to work and start negotiating long-term immigration reform. I look forward to working with my GOP and Democratic colleagues to make this happen so that we can end this shameful shutdown." That kind of works, shameful shutdown. Time now for our power panel. Roger Fisk worked on both the Obama campaigns and in the administration, was a senior aide to former Senator John Kerry. Beverly Hallberg is president of the District Media Group and host of the Filler Words podcast. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Roger, let me start with you. So this is put an offer on the table and say, hey, look, I'll protect Dreamers for a couple years. Does it then become to the viewing audience like it's a battle between, maybe those employees that are on the sidelines right now and the Dreamers? I mean, does it change kind of the dynamic if you're saying, no, we won't talk about Dreamers until federal workers are back to work, which is what we heard one, lawmaker say earlier on the show today? Is that a danger?
Well, what was interesting to me is he's offering something that he himself can't necessarily just turn around and deliver, like in a turnkey kind of way. The changing of status for the DACA recipients would still need to be worked out legislatively. So in a sense, the dog kind of comes around and bites its own tail in this one. I never really understood why he presented it this way. And also, instead of having a conversation with the Democratic leaders, he just basically presented kind of both sides. Here's the wins for the Democrats, here's the wins for my administration.
Well, in fairness, though, he tried to have a conversation. And that did, he's been trying to get them to the table. And it seems like this was kind of the only way, is like saying, here's what I want to talk to you about. If you want to talk about something sort of like this, come over and visit and let's talk.
Yeah, we don't even have a counteroffer at this point. So it's not the Democrats are coming back to the table and saying, let's negotiate. I actually think this has been a very strong move by the president for this reason. And the reason why I think Mitch McConnell's moving forward with the vote, regardless of whether or not he gets the votes, and that's because I think it becomes a Democrat shutdown if they don't move the needle at all. Because let's not forget, Democrats, many of them who are senators, actually supported border security before they're now against it. And many of their constituents want border security, even if they're not a fan of Donald Trump personally. So I think this puts Democrats in a bad place if they don't even come to the table with anything, and it's a win for Republicans.
If you wanted to solve this and it wasn't about scoring political points, because I don't know how it becomes a Democratic shutdown at this point. I mean, it seems like it's set in stone that the president said he would own it. He's owning it. I don't know that you can change that at this point. But if you wanted to have a solution as opposed to a political fight, what would you ask for if you say like the temporary fix on Dreamers isn't enough? What do you think is a fair trade for this initial money on border security?
$5 billion and protect the Mueller investigation in one piece of legislation, total game changer. It would rearrange the entire playing field. It's imaginative, it's creative. I'd go with something like that. Any kind of incrementalism in this current landscape is not going to do it. And yes, he has reached out to Democrats, but the most recent round of those conversations, he reached out to Blue Dog Democrats, trying to create a schism between leadership and members. So there was a Machiavellian kind of motivation behind that. It wasn't just good faith bipartisanship.
I don't know if it's Machiavellian as much as, I mean, as you said, he's offering things that Republicans don't like. And if you want to make a deal, you have to give in order to get. You put things on the table that there's something for each side to love and something for each side to hate. What do you think of his very creative idea, though, about protecting Mueller, putting that out, like, taking it away from DACA or whatever else? I mean, what do you think about that?
I would be up for it. I think that's a discussion we could have as far as I think the investigation should move forward. But when it comes to Republicans, this is an uphill battle for them. The House Freedom Caucus, they're not happy with what's being said about DACA. So he is giving Democrats something. I think there's room to move on the amount of money, but the president can't go away from the wall.
There's a bill in front of him that passed unanimously in the Senate. He was for it a month ago before Ann Coulter chimed in, and then he's not for it.
Well, we'll see. Here we go. All right, the White House marking President Trump's first 2 years in office by touting his accomplishments. So has President Trump lived up to his campaign promises, and what does he need to do to secure re-election in 2020? Our power panel is back after the break.